Something changes in every relationship, quietly, slowly, almost imperceptibly. One day, you wake up next to someone you love and realize it feels like you're sleeping beside a memory. The laughter that once filled the kitchen now echoes like a ghost. The conversations that used to last all night have turned into predictable exchanges. How was your day? Fine. Did you pay the bill? Yeah. And that's it. No fight, no betrayal, no tragedy. Just silence. It's not the kind of silence that brings peace. It's the kind that hums underneath everything, heavy, invisible, suffocating. You sit across from them at dinner and feel like you're both performing roles you've rehearsed too many times. You smile, you nod, you play your part. But somewhere deep down, you're wondering, when did we stop being alive together? You remember how it used to be. The spark. The chaos. The excitement of not knowing how they'd make you feel that day. You used to study their face, memorize every gesture, every tone. Now you barely notice when they walk into the room. Not because you don't care, but because your brain has filed them under familiar. And nothing kills passion faster than familiarity mistaken for safety. That's what being on pause feels like. It's not the end, it's the waiting room before the end. You're not leaving, but you're not really staying either. You've built a life together, a house, a routine, a schedule. But somewhere inside that schedule, you lost the pulse. It's the little things that give it away. The phone that stays in your hand even when they're talking. The way your hugs have become polite. The way you stop reaching out at night not because you're angry, but because you've forgotten what it feels like to want. You start living around each other instead of with each other. Two people sharing a space but not a story. And what makes it terrifying is how normal it looks. From the outside, it's a perfect relationship, no drama, no chaos, no reason to complain. But deep down you know something missing. Something essential. That raw, messy, unfiltered connection that once made you feel alive. Most people don't talk about this stage. They talk about falling in love or falling apart, but not about the quiet middle. Where everything looks fine but feels empty. That's where most relationships go to die, not with an explosion but with a slow fade into indifference. You tell yourself it's just a phase. You tell yourself everyone feels like this eventually. But late at night when the world goes still and you can hear your own thoughts, a question echoes louder than anything else. Is this what love is supposed to feel like? Or did we accidentally press pause and forget to hit play again? Everyone thinks relationships die because of fights, betrayal, or lack of love. But most of the time, they die because nothing happens. Not chaos, not passion, not danger. Just the slow, invisible erosion of aliveness. Here's the brutal truth. The same things that make a relationship feel safe are often the things that make it stop feeling alive. When you first fall in love, everything is uncertainty. Every look, every touch, every message carries risk. You don't know if they'll call back, you don't know what they think. Your nervous system is on fire, curiosity, fear, excitement, desire all at once. That's what we call chemistry. It's your brain getting high on novelty. But love doesn't stay new forever. Eventually, you trade mystery for stability. You stop performing, stop chasing, stop wondering. You exhale and think, finally I'm safe. And safety feels amazing until it doesn't. Because what you call safety, your biology calls stagnation. The brain is wired to seek novelty, challenge, growth. And when life becomes predictable, it quietly turns down the volume on everything that once felt electric. That's why routine kills desire, not because routine is bad. But because routine without evolution becomes repetition. And repetition without emotion becomes numbness. The pause you feel in your relationship isn't a mystery, it's biology meeting complacency. At first you two built something together. Every day was a small adventure, moving in, planning, building, learning each other. But once everything's built, the mission disappears. There's no more chase, no more uncertainty. Just comfort and the illusion that comfort is the goal. But love is not a reward you keep on a shelf. It's a fire that requires friction to stay alive. Without challenge you lose polarity. Without polarity you lose attraction. And when attraction fades, connection follows. Psychological safety is beautiful, it allows us to rest, to trust, to breathe. But too much safety turns love into friendship, and friendship into quiet distance. Because the same brain chemicals that make you bond, oxytocin, serotonin, also make you bored if there's no excitement to balance them. So you start craving more, but you don't know what more means. You might not even want another person, you just want to feel something again. That craving is the soul's way of saying, this version of us has stopped growing. Every relationship faces this crossroads. One path leads to deeper intimacy, two people who reinvent themselves and keep evolving. The other path leads to polite disconnection. Two people who stay together but stop meeting each other. The hidden cause of that pause isn't that you stopped loving them. It's that you stopped discovering them. And somewhere along the way, you also stopped discovering yourself. Most people mistake silence for peace. They think that as long as there's no shouting, no slamming doors, no chaos, everything's fine. But there's a kind of silence that's far more dangerous than any argument. It's the silence of disconnection. It's the quiet that comes when two people stop trying. Not because they hate each other, but because they've grown comfortable enough to stop caring. Comfort is seductive. It whispers, relax, you've made it, you don't need to fight anymore. And at first that feels like paradise. After years of searching and struggling, you finally feel safe. But what most people don't realize is that comfort doesn't just soften your edges, it dulls them. You stop asking questions. You stop paying attention. You stop growing. That's the illusion of stability. It looks peaceful on the surface, but underneath, it's emotional atrophy. A slow loss of vitality disguised as harmony. You go through the motions. Wake up, work, talk, eat, sleep. Repeat. You tell yourself this is maturity, this is stability, this is love. But if you're honest, deep down, it feels more like quiet suffocation. It's like a beautiful garden you stopped watering because the flowers look strong enough to survive on their own. And for a while they do. But one morning you wake up and realize everything's still standing. Just lifeless. People say, at least we don't fight. As if that's the goal. But conflict isn't the enemy, indifference is. Conflict means you still care enough to want change. Indifference means you've accepted decay as normal. You've mistaken numbness for peace. True stability isn't the absence of movement. It's the ability to move together through change. But when couples stop challenging each other, stop disagreeing, stop dreaming, they stop moving. And stillness in a living thing is just another word for dying. The saddest part. This illusion of stability looks healthy from the outside. People see your smiles, your pictures, your shared routines. And they call it love. But they don't see the emotional distance. The lack of curiosity. The way your heart no longer speeds up when they touch you. That's the danger of comfort. It's painless, and that's what makes it deadly. You don't notice it killing your connection because it feels calm. But calm can be emptiness in disguise. If love is a flame, then comfort is the glass box we trap it in. Safe, contained, predictable, until it quietly runs out of air. The illusion of stability tells you you're safe. Reality whispers that you're drifting apart. And if you listen closely, beneath that comforting silence, you'll hear it. The sound of something beautiful slowly fading away. Every dying relationship has one silent question pulsing underneath it. Can we still feel alive together? The good news is yes, you can. The bad news, it won't happen by accident. Because what killed the connection wasn't lack of love. It was autopilot. And the only cure for autopilot is intention. You can't bring life back by pretending everything's fine. You bring it back by being brave enough to break the script. Start by telling the truth, not the polite version, not the filtered one, the truth you're scared to say out loud. Tell them what you miss. Tell them what you crave. Tell them what you're afraid of. Because honesty is emotional CPR. It shocks the system. It forces the heart to beat again. Most relationships don't need more romance, they need more realness. You don't need roses, you need presence. You don't need a weekend getaway, you need a real conversation where both of you stop performing and start listening. Reigniting the pulse isn't about doing more things together, it's about doing them differently. Do something that feels slightly dangerous again, not reckless but alive. Take a risk. Ask the question you've been avoiding. Say I miss you without irony. Hold them like it's the first time, not the thousandth. The magic isn't gone. It's buried under routine, under unspoken resentment, under the false idea that love should be easy once it's safe. But real love has never been safe. It's wild. It's uncertain. It asks you to show up again and again, even when it's inconvenient. So change something. Change how you look at them. Change how you touch them. Change the way you speak, not out of obligation but out of curiosity. Ask yourself, who are they now? Because the person you fell in love with isn't the same one sitting next to you, and neither are you. You've both evolved, but your relationship hasn't caught up. Reigniting the pulse means allowing the relationship to evolve too. To stop trying to resurrect the past, and instead build something new with who you both are now. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Moments don't create intimacy, courage does. And courage looks like small, real actions. Looking them in the eyes again. Putting the phone down. Touching without agenda. Asking how are you really, and meaning it. You can't force a spark. But you can create the conditions for it to return. Through presence, honesty, and the willingness to be uncomfortable again. Because love doesn't die from neglect overnight. It dies slowly from the belief that it no longer needs effort. And the moment you decide to fight that belief, that's when the pulse returns. That's when the heart remembers how to beat. Every relationship reaches a moment when silence turns into a mirror. You look at each other and realize you're not asking, "Do I love this person?" anymore. You're asking, "Can we still grow together?" That's the decision point, the quiet crossroads between revival and release. It's not about guilt or blame or even who changed first. It's about truth. And truth doesn't scream, it whispers. It says something has ended, and pretending it hasn't will only break you both. Sometimes you can reignite what's fading. Sometimes the pause was just a signal, a wake-up call to return to honesty, to curiosity, to effort. But other times the pause is permanent. Not because you stopped loving each other, but because the version of love that once fit you no longer does. That's the hardest part to accept. That love can be real, deep, beautiful, and still not meant to last forever. Because people grow. And sometimes they grow in different directions. You can spend years trying to rebuild what used to be. But you can't resurrect a chapter that life has already closed. You can stay out of loyalty. But loyalty without aliveness becomes self-betrayal. And self-betrayal always ends in quiet resentment. So you have to decide. Do you fight for what can still evolve, or do you let go with grace? Fighting doesn't mean begging or chasing. It means showing up fully, one last time, with honesty and vulnerability. And seeing if there's still something beating under the silence. If there is, you rebuild. If there isn't, you release. Letting go isn't failure. It's the final act of love, the courage to stop clinging to a ghost. Because some relationships aren't meant to last a lifetime. They're meant to wake you up. To teach you something. To show you who you were and who you're becoming. It takes wisdom to know when the story has more to tell. And peace to accept when the page has turned. But hear the truth. Ending something that's quietly dying is not giving up, it's choosing life. Yours, theirs, both. And if you decide to stay, then stay fully. Not halfway, not waiting, not surviving. Stay with intention. Stay with presence. Stay to build something new, not to relive the old. Because the real decision point isn't between staying or leaving. It's between numbness and aliveness. Between pretending and truth. Between comfort and growth. And whatever you choose, choose with your eyes open. Because love deserves that. And so do you.